Cornwall, its prophetic significance. Cornwall is known as the land of the saints because of the great number of saints associated with the county. In fact, there are over 60 of these saints who have Cornish connections. Mostly they were from the branch of Christianity known as Celtic Christianity. And by the way, to me, Celtic Christianity is just Christianity, real basic Christianity. Anyway, these saints came to Cornwall from Ireland or Wales mainly. St. Piran, the patron saint of Cornwall, was a 5th century Cornish abbot and saint, probably of Irish origin. He is the patron saint of tin miners. St. Petroc was born in Wales. He primarily is associated with a monastery at Padstow and is known as the captain of the Cornish saints. The list of saints goes on and on, with many Cornish towns and villages named after saints. In folklore, Christianity came to Cornwall even before these saints. According to the Talmud, the primary source of Jewish teaching and theology, Joseph of Arimathea was an uncle of the Virgin Mary, and therefore the great uncle of Jesus. This would explain why he was allowed as a close relative to bury the body of Jesus in his tomb. There are very persistent traditions in Cornwall that Joseph was involved in the trade of tin. The existence of the tin trade between Cornwall and Phoenicia is frequently referred to in classical writers and is described at considerable length by Diodorus Siculus. In 2019, there were news reports that ancient tin found in Israel has unexpected Cornish links. Researchers from Heidelberg University and the Kurt Engelhorn Center for Archaeometry in Mannheim studied 27 tin ingots, metal cast into bars, plates or sheets, from sites in Israel, Turkey and Greece. Using lead and tin isotope data and trace element analysis, the archaeologists discovered that the metal ingots, which dated from the 13th and 12th century BC, did not originate from Central Asia as previously thought, but instead came from tin deposits in Europe. Perhaps most surprisingly, the team found that tin artifacts from Israel probably came from Cornwall and Devon in southwest England. This is the firmest evidence we have of the ancient tin trade between Israel and Cornwall. We now move into the realm of folklore, and there is plenty of folklore regarding Joseph of Arimathea visiting Cornwall with his great-nephew Jesus. According to legend, Joseph of Arimathea visited Cornwall with the young Jesus seeking tin, and the story is associated with places like Doux Island and the Roseland Peninsula. The Reverend C.C. Dobson recorded some of the local stories in his book, Did Our Lord Visit Britain?, as they say in Cornwall and in Somerset, published in 1936. Also, the Reverend H.A. Lewis recorded some of the local Cornish folklore in a pamphlet published in 1939 called Christ in Cornwall. At the time, local people were loath to talk about the legends they had been brought up with for fear of ridicule. However, some of them were willing to talk. For example, the inhabitants of St. Justin Roseland had a strong tradition of believing that Joseph and Jesus visited their creek. I have had it confirmed by past inhabitants of St. Just that it was a common tradition of their childhood that Christ came there. One variant version was that Joseph of Arimathea and our Lord came in a boat and anchored in St. Just Creek. Traditionally, the tin miners of Cornwall believed that Joseph of Arimathea was a tin man. This belief was reported by the clergyman Reverend Sabine Baring Gould in his Book of Cornwall of 1899, where he says that Jesus taught Joseph how to extract the tin and purge it of its wolfram. When tin is flashed, then the tinner shouts. Joseph was in the tin trade, which is probably a corruption of St. Joseph to the tinner's aid. There is a wealth of folklore on the subject, which is usually dismissed as fable, but there is something special about Cornwall, which many people feel as soon as they cross over the Tamar River from Devon. The miners themselves remember Joseph in a song recorded in Glyn S. Lewis's book, Did Jesus Come to Britain? Here come 3 Josephs are here, all for to bring ye luck of the year. One he did stand at the babe's right hand, one was a lord in Egypt's land, one was a sinner and sailed the sea, God keep ye merry, say we. There are about 40 Celtic courtyard house villages, also known as roundhouses, on the Land's End Peninsula in Cornwall. These are roughly contemporaneous with the time of Jesus. The tin mining trade was thriving at this time. If Joseph and Jesus did visit Cornwall, these communities could have been among the first Christian communities in Britain. I like to believe the old stories, but there are some hard facts. The tin trade to Israel definitely did exist, and Cornwall had a Christian community as far back as anyone can trace. Prophetically speaking, God tends to bring things full circle. The Bible starts with the tree of life and finishes with the tree of life. I believe that Christianity found some of its earliest beginnings in Cornwall, and in these last days I expect to see a revival of real Christianity in Cornwall again. There have been many revivals in Cornwall in the past, but this last one will be the greatest and will spread throughout the whole of the British Isles. So thank you for listening. If you found this video interesting, you can find more information at prophecy-workshop.com.